The Ghosts of Echo Mountain. Chapter 1: Echo Mountain. The grand estate on Echo Mountain stood tall and proud, its opulence a testament to the wealth and extravagance of its former owners. The mansion's exterior was crafted from the finest materials and adorned with intricate carvings and detailed decorations. The sprawling grounds were immaculate, with lush gardens and well-manicured lawns that spoke to the grandeur of the estate's former days. As the sun set over the mountains, a group of college students arrived at the foot of the estate, drawn by a fascination with its history and allure. Their faces were alight with excitement as they looked up at the grandeur of the mansion, its imposing form casting an eerie shadow over the surrounding landscape. The group made their way up the winding path that led to the mansion's front door, their footsteps echoing in the stillness of the mountain air. As they stepped inside, they were met with a sense of awe and wonder, the mansion's grandeur still apparent despite years of neglect and decay. The students explored the mansion's many rooms, each one revealing a new layer of opulence and extravagance. They marveled at the intricate details of the architecture and the exquisite furnishings that once graced the halls. But as they ventured deeper into the mansion's dark corners, they couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. They knew that something dark and foreboding was lurking within the mansion's walls, waiting to be unleashed upon the unwary. Chapter 1 ends as the students settle in for the night, each one reflecting on the strange and unsettling events of the day. They all sense that there is something amiss in the mansion, but they are unable to put their finger on exactly what it is. As they drift off to sleep, the mansion's ancient walls seem to whisper secrets and warnings, beckoning them deeper into the dark and mysterious world of Echo Mountain. Chapter 2: The Party. The night of the fire was supposed to be a grand celebration, but it turned into a night of horror and tragedy. The wealthy family that owned the mansion on Echo Mountain had spared no expense in hosting the most extravagant party of the year. The guests arrived in their finest attire, eager to indulge in the opulent festivities that awaited them. The mansion was buzzing with life, the sound of music and laughter echoing through the halls. The wealthy family mingled with their guests, basking in the admiration and envy of those around them. But not everyone was thrilled to be there. The townspeople, who had long resented the wealthy family's extravagance, watched the party from a distance, seething with jealousy and resentment. As the night wore on, the partygoers began to notice that something was amiss. Smoke had started to fill the air, and the flames could be seen in the distance. Panic set in, and the guests rushed towards the exits, desperately trying to escape the inferno that was raging around them. In the chaos and confusion, the true personalities of the wealthy family were revealed. Some fought to save themselves, trampling over others in a desperate bid for survival. Others stayed behind, risking their own lives to save those around them. The townspeople, who had gathered outside, watched in horror as the mansion was consumed by flames, their worst fears realized. As the fire burned out, the true extent of the tragedy was revealed. There were no survivors. This chapter will take the readers on a journey back in time, exploring the last moments of the mansion's former guests as they tried to escape the inferno. It will provide a glimpse into the personalities of the wealthy family and their relationship with the townspeople. The writing style will be immersive, calming, soothing, and relaxing, drawing the readers into the world of the mansion and its tragic fate. Chapter 3: the expedition begins. The journey up Echo Mountain was treacherous. The group of college students had to navigate through dense forests and treacherous terrain to reach their destination. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the landscape, and the air was thick with the sounds of crickets and other nocturnal creatures. The students were already tired and hungry, but they knew that their journey was far from over. As they climbed higher and higher up the mountain, the students began to feel a sense of unease. The trees grew taller and the shadows deeper, and the wind began to howl through the branches like a banshee. They could sense that they were not alone on the mountain, that there were forces beyond their control that were watching them from the shadows. Finally, after what seemed like hours of climbing, the students caught their first glimpse of the mansion. It loomed in the distance like a dark, foreboding presence, the windows black and lifeless. The students felt a shiver run down their spines as they realized that they had just entered a world far beyond their comprehension. As they approached the mansion, the students began to argue about how to enter it. Some wanted to sneak in through the back, while others wanted to climb through a window. The arguments soon escalated into a full-blown fight, with each student accusing the other of cowardice and stupidity. Eventually, they decided to split up, with one group heading around to the back and the other climbing up the side of the building. It was a perilous journey, with loose bricks and slippery ivy making the climb difficult and dangerous. But the students were determined to explore the mansion, no matter the cost. As they reached the top, they looked down at the sprawling estate, wondering what secrets it held within its walls. Little did they know that the ghosts of Echo Mountain were watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike. Chapter 4: Echoes of the Past. As the students step inside the mansion, they are enveloped in a thick atmosphere of gloom and foreboding. The air is cold and musty, and the floorboards creak beneath their feet. The walls are adorned with faded wallpaper and cobwebs, and the once grand furnishings are now covered in dust and grime. As they make their way through the darkened halls, strange occurrences begin to happen. They hear the sound of laughter and music, as if a party were still taking place. But when they turn the corner, the sound abruptly stops, leaving them in an eerie silence. One of the students, Rachel, feels a cold breeze on her neck and turns around, only to find herself face to face with a spectral figure. The ghostly apparition of a woman in a flowing dress appears before her, staring at her with empty eyes. Rachel is frozen in terror as the ghostly figure disappears into thin air. The students begin to feel a sense of unease and start to wonder if they have made a mistake by coming to the mansion. But they push forward, determined to find out what happened that fateful night. As they continue exploring, they come across an old ballroom, still adorned with the decorations from the party that never ended. Suddenly, they hear the sound of footsteps and turn to see a figure in the shadows. They call out, but there is no response. The figure disappears into the darkness, leaving the students alone once again. The students begin to realize that they are not alone in the mansion and that the ghosts of the past are very much present. But what do these spirits want, and why are they still trapped in this place? The answers lie hidden in the dark corners of the mansion, waiting to be uncovered. Chapter 4, Echoes of the Past, is a crucial chapter in the book, as it sets the stage for the supernatural events to come. It is a tense and suspenseful chapter, designed to keep the reader on the edge of their seat. The writing style is dark and atmospheric, meant to convey the sense of dread and foreboding that the characters feel. As the students explore the mansion, they begin to realize that the ghosts of the past are very real and very dangerous, setting the stage for a terrifying confrontation in the chapters to come. Chapter 5: The Haunted Mansion. The college students made their way through the dusty, cobwebbed corridors of the mansion, their flashlights illuminating the darkness. They heard the creaking of floorboards beneath their feet, the rustling of old drapes in the breeze, and the eerie echoes of their own footsteps. But as they rounded a corner, they came to a sudden halt. Before them was a ghostly apparition of a woman, her face twisted in a grotesque expression of rage. Her eyes burned with an otherworldly fire, and her hair seemed to float around her like writhing snakes. The students were frozen in terror as she let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed through the mansion's halls. As they continued their exploration, the students encountered more and more ghostly figures, each one more terrifying than the last. They saw spectral figures in old-fashioned clothing, heard disembodied voices whispering in their ears, and felt sudden, icy drafts that suggested the presence of something beyond the veil of the living world. The mansion seemed to be alive with a malevolent energy, and the students knew they were in grave danger. Their hearts pounded in their chests as they tried to find a way out, but every path seemed to lead them deeper into the haunted mansion's dark secrets. As they huddled together in fear, they realized that they were no longer mere spectators in this paranormal theater. They were now a part of the show, and the spirits that haunted the mansion were determined to keep them there, trapped forever in the twisted, shadowy world of Echo Mountain. The chapter ends with a chilling realization that the students are in over their heads, and they must act fast if they hope to escape the vengeful spirits and uncover the truth behind the mansion's dark past. Chapter 6: The Mystery Unfolds. The students gathered in the library, trying to piece together the clues they had found. The fire had started in the ballroom, where the party was in full swing. But who had started the blaze, and why? They pored over old newspaper clippings and letters, trying to find answers. As they delved deeper, they discovered that the wealthy family had made many enemies in town. The patriarch of the family, Nathaniel, had been involved in shady business dealings that had ruined many lives. One of the guests at the party was a man whose family had been destroyed by Nathaniel's greed. He had vowed revenge and had been seen arguing with Nathaniel shortly before the fire. The students thought they had found their culprit. But then, they uncovered another clue. Nathaniel had been having an affair with one of his guests, a beautiful woman named Victoria. Her husband, a jealous and possessive man, had followed her to the party and had caught her with Nathaniel. In a fit of rage, he had started the fire to kill them both. The students were stunned by this revelation. They had been so sure they had found the culprit, but now they had to start over. They continued to search for clues, but the more they found, the more confused they became. Was it the man seeking revenge for his family, or was it the jealous husband? Or was it someone else entirely? As the students left the library, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. They felt a cold breeze pass through the room, and they heard footsteps echoing down the hallway. They turned to see a figure in the shadows, watching them silently. Was it one of the ghosts of the mansion's former guests, or was it something far more sinister? The mystery was unfolding, and the students were no closer to solving it. They could feel the weight of the mansion's dark secrets bearing down on them, and they knew that they were in grave danger. The question was, would they be able to solve the mystery before it was too late? Chapter 7: The Enemy Within. As the students continued their investigation of the mansion, tensions began to rise. Each one of them had their own reasons for being there, and suspicions began to grow as they uncovered more clues. At first, it was just little things: a missing flashlight, a door left open, a strange noise in the dark. But soon, the small annoyances turned into something much more sinister. The students began to suspect each other of sabotaging their progress. Accusations flew back and forth, and alliances were formed and broken. It seemed that everyone had something to hide. As the night wore on, the students realized that they were not only fighting the ghosts of the mansion but also their own fears and paranoia. They began to turn on each other, unable to trust anyone but themselves. But as the tension reached a boiling point, a new discovery shed light on the true enemy within their group. One of the students had been working against them all along, secretly sabotaging their efforts to solve the mystery. The revelation stunned the group, and they were forced to confront the traitor in their midst. But as they did, they realized that they had made a grave mistake. The true enemy was not just one person, but something far more insidious: the malevolent force that had caused the fire in the first place. In this chapter, the characters' inner conflicts and the psychological horror of their situation come to the forefront. The tension builds as they realize that they cannot even trust each other in their quest to solve the mystery. The chapter ends on a shocking note, revealing that the true enemy is not a person, but a sinister force that is still at work in the mansion.